We are just about ready to begin, and I should warn you, I tend to do a lot of walking when I talk, and I know it's terrible for anything that goes on video, it's terrible for when people are trying to pay attention to me, but I am a nervous talker. I also found out recently, a couple of years ago, I'm an emotional crier. I never knew that about myself, but apparently I am. So if I start to just turn on the waterworks, ignore me, we'll be fine, we'll go through it. But I'll be doing a lot of walking, crying, talking, and explaining how I manage to manage multiple projects without technically losing my mind, although the jury is still out on that. So in a perfect world, I wake up in the morning and I look at my day, as many of you probably do, and I think, what do I have to do today? I got a little bit of this, a little bit of that, no problem. This is fine. Well, there's one little problem. We don't live in a perfect world, and by the time I get through that first or second email and that first or second Trello board, my day already looks like this. I'm at my wit's end. I'm not sure what's happening. I'm not sure what needs to be done. I'm very stressed. And sometimes my face looks a little melty. I'm not going to lie. So when people ask me, well, that sounds great, you have all these things to do. What exactly is your job? What is it that you do? I never knew how to answer that question. I still honestly don't know how to answer that question. And for some of you, I recognize out there, you already know what I do. And for the rest of you, you're probably thinking, who am I? What is it that I do? I do stuff. That's the best way I could describe it. Every day I wake up, I do stuff. I do a lot of stuff. I manage projects for publishers, and that can be screencasts, that can be book editing. I also write my own stuff. I do podcasting. I'm a developer. I'm a designer. I recently opened a restaurant with my husband. We're also chicken farmers. We do a lot of things. And to get through everything we're doing, we've got to work on how the heck do we do it? So that's the next question that comes up. When people are like, hey, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, yeah, I do stuff. And then I tell them all the stuff I do. They're like, well, how? How the heck do you do all that? That seems like a lot. And everyone's like, well, don't you sleep? Yeah, I sleep. If you don't sleep, you die. So I do sleep. But I thought about this talk about, I have to tell people what it is I do and how I manage so much. Otherwise, there's no value. I'm taking your precious time. You could be off doing other things, and time is important. So I got to thinking, what is it? How do I actually manage this stuff? Because it's a lot. When I sat down and I wrote out everything I did and how I managed to do it all, it's a lot. But the truth is, I do just do it. I just do it. I wake up in the morning and I look at what I have to do, and I do it. And as I was thinking, hey, that's not really a good thing to tell people, oh yeah, I just wake up and do it. Oddly enough, I always say that the universe delivers to you that which you need the most. And as I was sitting there putting together these slides and trying to come up with a comprehensible list of things that I could give to you that you could then go off and do and know how to manage stuff, I was watching Orange is the New Black with my husband, and this scene came on. And I apologize to anyone who hates media playing in a talk. I rarely, this is the first time I'm ever going to play media in a talk, and I hope it works. But it's a 1.5-minute clip, and it was just a little bit longer, but I cut it down. And what happens is if you don't know Orange is the New Black, it's about a women's prison, and the person on the left there, her name is Red, and she's like the prison mom. And the person on the right, her name is Nikki. Well, yeah, right. Her name is Nikki, and she looks up to Red, who's the prison mom, and she asks her, how do you do it all? How did you become a prison mom and manage all of us inmates?
I figured it out. That you ran a whole kitchen. And you watched over a bunch of degenerate knuckleheads, not to mention how you got a big meal junkie from the Upper East clean. Then there's some crazy multitasking. Well, you back off and try not to get near the wall again. What if you really don't want to give up on something? Even though you know that it might be too much for you to handle. Like, even if you just slam into that wall. There's strength in admitting what you can't control. Nobody likes it. But it's self-preservation.
So I played that clip for a reason. I'm here to tell you how to manage multiple things. It's a cautionary tale because at some point you hit that wall and there's burnout and there's all this other stuff, but at some point you hit that wall. And I don't want you to hit that wall. I want you to manage your stuff without doing it. And I can sit here and I can tell you to get up and just do it, and you will. You'll get up and you'll just do it. But I want to give you the tools to make it easier. Learn from my mistakes. Don't do too much. So in no particular, did I spell that right? I did good. In no particular order, somewhat random, I put together a list of things that I do now to try and not hit that wall so often or so hard. The first thing I learned is to pick one spot. What do I mean by that? We all have a multitude of projects. Some of us work with clients, some of us work in an organization where there are a plethora of tools from which to choose. I don't care what you use or how you use it. I'm not here to tell you that Trello is better than Basecamp or whatever else is out there. Now, I personally use Trello to manage my stuff, but it is a personal choice. I looked at the features, I looked at how much I'm willing to spend, and what it means to me to manage my projects. But the point is, find a tool that works for you to manage all of your projects across everything from one spot. Because if you have to open up this and open up that and go over here and look at this, you can't open up your day and figure out everything that you need to do if you're spending your precious time opening 8, 9, 10 different things. You're just gonna waste time. So that's the first thing. Pick one spot. And don't let anybody tell you that your spot is any worse or better than the one that they've picked for themselves. It's very individual. The second thing, and some of these are like no-brainers to some of us, and some of them are like, wow, that's incredible. Plan ahead seems like one of the ones that we all should know, but we don't do. If you're looking at something and you have no target, it's kind of like, listen, I can find anything eventually, but I will get lost getting there. You can put me in a paper bag with a flashlight and a map, and I will not find my way out. I need you to tell me how to get from point A to point B. And that's what goals and expectations help you to do. It helps you to plan ahead, know what your target is. If you don't know where you're going, how are you ever going to get there? So plan ahead, figure out what needs to be done, figure out what people are expecting of you. And I do this all the time, people will say, we want a website. And I will spend hours and hours and hours and hours working on a website, and I think it's really good. But they were expecting something different because we didn't have that conversation about what their expectations were. Know what the person's expectations are, and then meet them there. And plan for it. My mom has a saying, And when I do these talks, I always bring up my mother. She's been my biggest supporter and one of the hugest inspirations out there. She's got all these little sayings that I even have some of them tattooed on me so I don't forget. But one of them is, plan for the worst and hope for the best. So that's my mom talk thingy for you today. Well, I'm sure I have like 12 others. So the other thing is prioritize things. And I'm not really great at this. I'm getting better at it. Hopefully you all are better at it than me. But when I say prioritize things, I mean not everything is an emergency right now, right? How many times will you be sitting there? I don't know what your working conditions are, but maybe you're a remote employee, maybe you're in an office, but you're sitting there and you're working on something and an email pops up or someone taps you on your shoulder and says, oh, hey, I've got this emergency. I need you to do it right now. It's got to be done. Hold on. Let's prioritize things. Let's figure out where we are. Not everything is an emergency. And another saying that my mom used to say to me is, your poor planning doesn't necessarily constitute an emergency on my part. So it goes back to planning. You can plan for emergencies, believe it or not. But prioritize things. And how do you prioritize things? That's a big question for me. And when I say prioritize things, listen, you are a person who is more than just your work. You are a person who is more than the things that you are supposed to manage. You have a life, you have perhaps children, you have a significant other, you have a pet who needs attention, or in my case, you have more than you can count who needs attention. You have to prioritize everything in your life. And there's this thing, I didn't even know about this thing until I did research. You know, I just sort of kind of figured it out. Like Red says, I don't know, I just figured it out. But when I started to do the research, there's this thing called the Eisenhower Decision Matrix. And I thought it was kind of neat. And you've got two things. You've got important and not important, right? And you break it out into things that are urgent and not urgent. We try and strive to live in that top part of it, where it's important, but it's not urgent. That's where the planning comes in. You know, I wrote a couple things down. Over there, it's like, look, this is urgent, this is a crisis, we have to take care of this right now, and you're gonna run into that, okay? Find time, do it, take care of it. That's urgent, that's important, we need to take care of it right away. Then you're gonna come into that not urgent, but still important. That for me is like family and, planning and making sure that everything is falling into a row. Then you've got the not important, but kind of urgent. Those are the interruptions in the meetings and the things that are, yeah, it's important, but it's not necessarily urgent. It can wait, I'll get to it. Those are the things you should try and delegate to other people if you can. And then you've got the time wasters. That's gonna be your not important, not urgent, just it's a waste of time. For me, that's email. Email is a big waste of time. Have a conversation with somebody. So set deadlines. It's important to know when to get things done. It helps you figure out that, okay, look, I've got these 12 things to do that will make this thing be complete. When you set deadlines, you'll know how long each task will take you to finish. And, people say, well, you set you set deadlines to make sure that you've lit a fire up under your butt, as they say. Look, I'm not good with that. I can set millions of deadlines to try and motivate me to do things. But the truth is, if I'm not into it, if I'm not motivated, I'm not going to do it. The deadlines are not important to me that way. But they do help me figure out when things need to be done, especially if I'm relying on other people to do them. And we'll get into that in a minute. But set those deadlines and understand that, you've got hard and soft deadlines. Again, plan for the worst and hope for the best. Set the deadlines out. What was the other saying? Under promise and over deliver. That's another good, I'm not good with buzz phrases, just the ones my mom tells me. But anyway, set your deadlines and get things done. Stay focused. I'm not diagnosed as ADHD, but I'm pretty sure I have it, because if there's a bunny over there, my husband says I'm chasing it. I have zero focus. I'm a creative person. I focus on the thing that's bringing me the most joy at the moment. which is probably why I do podcasting and arts and writing and technical work and design, because my focus tends to get pulled in a lot of different directions. And that's what caused me to hit that burnout, to hit that wall. I wasn't focused. If you can stay focused, more power to you. The best way to stay focused is to avoid all of those distractions. I have to check my time here. Oh, I'm good. So, see, I got distracted by my phone. I could say that I totally did that on purpose, but really I was like, I wonder how much time I have. Total unfocused. But when you sit down, turn off those distractions. You know, set up a time limit and be like, look, I need to go through my email first thing Monday morning, and that's what I'm going to do for 10 minutes. I'm going to shut off the phone. I'm not going to answer calls. I'm not even going to respond to new emails while I'm working on that. I'm going to focus on the task that I'm doing and not get distracted. That, folks, right there, that's probably your single most important tip or thing that you can do to get things done, to manage things. Keep your focus. I'm probably moving too fast. I have so many of these, I'm afraid that I won't get through them all. So if anything, y'all get to go out earlier and enjoy the rest of the day until the next session. Stay organized. Oh my gosh, this one is so important too. They're all important, really. My husband comes up to me all the time. We do a lot together, and he comes up to me and says, oh, I want to do this thing, but first I have to get this, and this in order. And I have to find this, and I don't know where my wrench is, and I don't know where that is. I'm like, whoa, you could shave off an hour of your time if you knew where everything was. You wouldn't have to go out and find things that you need to do your job. Let's say you need, a notebook to write your notes, and you don't have access to your computer, so you can't sit there and type it out. If you don't know where your notebook is and you spend 10 minutes looking for your notebook, that's 10 minutes that you don't have to write those notes. I can't even. I'm very organized and probably over-organized, so I should caution that too. If you are spending valuable time over-organizing, it's just as damaging to you as if you were spending too much time finding the things that you didn't organize. I don't know, for those of you who came in early, if you saw my desktop. My desktop doesn't look clean like that because I'm presenting. My desktop looks clean like that because I'm over-organized. Because when I go to find something in my file system, I'm like, where did I put that now? So that's, if you can get organized, do it. It'll help you. Don't ramble. That should be in here too, but it's not. It kind of is, right? Time matters. Again, I said there's no order of things that I put this in. That's why I keep looking over. I'm like, okay, what did I say next? Right, time matters. I'm going to read this verbatim. There is no greater gift than the gift of time, so don't waste it. As an editor, I take words that people give me and I make it more concise. I get to the point, unlike my talking. I get to the point with their words. And the reason is because that is the one thing as humans that we have that's not really a renewable resource. Now I can get into string theory and how time is not linear and things like that, and I won't. But if you want to talk about that later, let's grab a whiskey and let's have a conversation. But when someone comes to you and says, hey, I need your help, or I'm trying to manage this thing, or whatever the case is, they are giving you their most precious thing that they have, and that's their time. So when I manage people, when I manage projects, I really think about the time that it takes to do it. I put so much thought into these tips to give to you because I didn't want to waste your time. And if we get done with 20 minutes, bonus for us, right? But no, seriously, time matters. Don't waste it. Get in, do what you need to do, get out, and go on to the next thing. Because if you are managing 5 projects, or 10 projects, or 20 projects, and you're spending valuable time where it doesn't need to be spent, you're not going to have time to do all these things. And you're not going to sleep. Now, I struggled with this one because I don't work for any one person. I've been an independent person for more years than I can count now. And I have tried, really tried to set up a routine. And I can honestly say, when I stuck to a routine, to a schedule, I did so much better in managing my time. As a creative, I felt sort of stifled because I wake up and I look at everything I have to do, and today I might have to draw a picture for somebody, or edit some words, or write some words, or create a video tutorial, or something like that. And for me, as a creative, if I'm not in the mood to do the thing I've been asked to do at that time, it turns out terrible. So I tend to go and do other things. But I find that when I do that, the things that I'm expected to do at that time and have done by those deadlines, they sort of get, messed around, and scheduling gets weird, and then I get stressed, and I hit that wall that Red was talking about. I hit that with such force that I think I broke through it, but I realized that I didn't, and I've just fallen over it, and it's horrible. It's a miserable feeling. So if you can, set a routine. Wake up and say, Mondays I'll do this, and Tuesdays I'll do this, and I'll spend this much time. Set a timer if you need to do it. Now I'm terrible with email. I think I have like 9,000 unread messages or something. To me, it's not important. That scale before it falls into that bottom quadrant. I don't really care about it. If it's important to you, pick up the phone, send me a Slack message, reach out to me in real time. It's important. But anyway, going back to setting routine. Setting the routine really does help get you to get everything done. It also helps you figure out where you're spending your time. Now, in the talk description, I said I would tell you the tools I use. One of the tools I use to help me schedule time and keep my time and set a routine and all of these things, and it's an app, it's a web-based app called Toggle, Toggle. It's excellent, and it got a free version. So my tabs look like this. I've got Trello on one side, and I've got Toggle running on the other, and there's plugins that you can get. And basically, I track my time, because some of my time is my time, and some of my time is the clients that I work for. And even though I may charge them a set amount for one thing, whether it takes me 5 minutes or 5 days, I still track that time for me. If you work for yourself, it's a good way to figure out how much time you're spending here and there. And if you work for someone else and they are not even asking you for your time, maybe you're just a manager. That sounds terrible. Maybe you're just a manager. That's very important. Sorry about that. But maybe you're a manager at a Fortune 500 or a Fortune 50 company, and they don't really care where you're spending your time. They've never really said it out loud. How cool would it be for you to go in and be like, look, I'm spending this much time in this project, and come up with ideas on how you can, work that out. So again, Toggle is what I use to track my time. This is also very important to me. Words matter, and I still struggle with this one. And I'm going to spend a little time on this. I think I've got time, right? Now I have to do math, which is terrible. I've got time, right? Am I good? Okay. So words matter. Responsibility and accountability. This is where I get a little confused because, again, I manage a lot of people, as most of you probably do yourselves. And I struggle between when I turn to a team member who, someone that is supposed to be taking direction from me, and I'm supposed to inspire them and whatnot. I say, look, I need to get these things done. The project is expected to have this done. You are responsible for doing that. Okay? That is your job. It's task-based. It is an action. You do that thing. I need to be accountable, but you need to be responsible for it. It's very important, because when you start to, and I'm not saying this might. I forgot, I made another slide this morning because I didn't want to ramble without context, so here's the context. Accountability is where, the guy that's doing it, they gotta do it. The guy that's gotta be accountable for it's gotta be accountable for it. I'm accountable for everything that my team does. And to some degree, I'm responsible for those things, right? If it's a task I'm supposed to do, I am responsible for that task. I'm also accountable for that task. I need to say to someone who's expecting these things, look, this was supposed to be done because we missed deadlines, it happens. This was supposed to be done, it didn't get done because of this thing that was either within or without of my control. But when you're responsible, you are responsible for that thing. I can't say to someone who is expecting me to have a project complete, like with authors, we try and do our writing within 2 or 4 weeks, whatever it is. And as an editor, I'm a development editor for the Pragmatic Bookshelf, I have to say to the authors, I'm like, look, 2 weeks, write your stuff, give it back to me, I'll look through it, and I'll get it back to you. I've got some authors that have bigger life issues than writing a book on some sort of framework. Things happen. I'm not responsible for them writing their chapters, but I'm accountable to my manager. There's an editor-in-chief at one of the other places I work for. I'm accountable for these things, but I'm not responsible. And when I first started doing editing, I thought I was responsible for the author's words. So I would over-edit. Not that I would change their words, but if it needed some deep editing and some deep rewording, I would just redo it. And I would work with authors who were cool with that. But at some point, I was writing more than I was editing. So I was becoming more responsible than I was accountable. And I was being a terrible leader. Terrible, absolutely terrible leader. That's why I put that little thing down there, because leaders are accountable. Team members are responsible. Just remember that as a leader, sorry, you're also a team member, so you're kind of responsible for certain things. I hope that clears it up. I hope I didn't ramble too much, but it's such an important part. It is something that kept me from doing things that I needed to get done. About being a leader. My husband used to work for Apple, and one of the things that he would always, I'd hear him say, and he would say to me, and look behind you. If nobody's following, then you're a manager. And I don't mean any disrespect to managers, but it's true. When I was younger, I used to manage a warehouse. And that's what I did. I managed a warehouse. I didn't lead the people who worked in the warehouse. I simply managed the warehouse. And now I'm responsible for leading people. I'm an industry leader in certain things. It still blows my mind. I'm a tattooed high school dropout, middle-aged woman who's a leader in the industry. Go figure. But it's so different than being a manager. Because as a manager, people, they follow you because they expect to follow you. And they don't really follow you. They just sort of do their own thing. As a leader, you have to step up. You have to be an example. Sometimes you have to eat a lot of crow. And we're going to use that word because I'm a lady as well. But there are things that you have to do as a leader. And the only way you're going to manage more than one project is to be a leader. Because you can't turn around to the people who are following you. You can't turn around and be like, hey, I need y'all to do this stuff, so come on. If you're not a leader, they're not going to follow you. They're going to do whatever the minimum is that they need to do in order to keep their job. Because some of us do what we do because we love it. We have a true love for it, and some of us do what we do because it's what pays the bills. I want to be on the side that does it because they love it. And if you're managing people, they probably don't love it. They're probably just there for the paycheck. Lead them. What does that mean? Be a leader. You have to speak up. A lot of what I say is not okay, in the sense that I always use this analogy. If you come up to me and you say, hey, Do I look fat in these jeans? And you do? I'm going to tell you. And I know that a lot of what I say is not politically correct in this supercharged environment, but I can't change who I am for someone else. I lead from the heart. I don't lead from the head. I don't make the best of decisions, but I make them from my heart. I make them with the best intention. Some of the best leaders have said some of the most obnoxious things. I try not to be obnoxious, and I hope you aren't obnoxious when you lead people. But the difficult conversations are important as well. If you have someone who you are working with on your team, and they are not fulfilling their end of the bargain, right? There are things that they are expected to do, and they're not doing it. A manager might be like, look, you're not doing it, your numbers aren't right, you need to do better, or you're out. A leader will have a tougher conversation. Why aren't you doing the things that we're expecting you to do? What's your blocker? How can I help you achieve this? Is it a will or is it a skill issue? What are we working with here? You have to be a leader. If you're not a leader, no one is going to follow you. And if you don't speak the truth, no one is going to care what you say. And if you do offend someone, and I can guarantee you that something will fall out of your mouth and you will offend someone. Something falls out of my mouth daily. I offend people on a daily basis. I don't intend to, but I'm truthful. And the truth hurts. And you have to speak up, because if you don't speak up, people will not value you. You will have no integrity. This is not a free pass to be a rude, obnoxious jerk. Okay? Let's be clear about that. And the reason it's so important to speak up and be truthful is because, like I said, when you have a team of people and you are responsible for managing that team and leading that team to success and meeting those deadlines and prioritizing things and working on a schedule, you cannot do it all yourself. I'm an indie. I do it all myself. But the truth is, I don't do it all myself. I work with people on a daily basis, and we do things together. And even my children, my son is in the back here. You know what I delegated to him today? Make sure I get here on time without hiding somewhere, because people scare me and I'm afraid to come up on this stage. His task was to get my sorry butt here to do this talk. So, be honest, be truthful. And when you have to stop to delegate the task, delegate it to someone who has the skills. And I say that has the skills. That's important, because a lot of us as leaders, we're trying to get things done. I'm like, I'm just going to do it myself because I want it done right. Well, that's not a leader. That's not delegating. Eventually you're going to run out of time. You can't do it all yourself. I think it was my husband who said, if we're talking about a delegation of tasks, who's to do the laundry, who's to take out the trash, there's this one thing. If he does the dishes, or he takes out the trash, or I do the laundry, or whatever the case is, and the other person is normally responsible, see that word, responsible for doing it, and someone else picks up the slack, by all means, don't be like, you didn't add enough fabric softener, or why did you load the dishwasher that way? I wouldn't have done it that way. Delegate, and do so knowing that at that point you have limited control. Okay? You have surrounded yourself with this team of people for a reason. Maybe they were handed to you, but someone else picked those people. Let them do what they were hired or asked to do. And if they're not doing it up to your standards, be a leader. Find out why. Again, back to skill versus will. Are they unwilling to do it, or are they just not skilled enough to do it? And you can teach to both of those. Manage up, as they say. I think they say that. And this is why I got emotional before at the beginning. I'm so glad I calmed down and you guys didn't have to go through that. Know your limits. I didn't know my limits. I probably still don't know my limits. And I started this talk with, Yeah, you can go out and you can manage multiple tasks. A lot of people can do it. 10 minutes. I think I'm good. I don't even know how many slides I got left, but I'm probably good. Know your limits. Don't be a superhero. When you hit the wall, you've hit the wall. I mean, it happens. How do you not hit the wall? I don't know. Say no to things. One of my good friends to me, she says, no is a complete sentence. No, period. That's it. You don't have to explain why you can't do something. Now, maybe you have a manager that's like, well, why can't you? Okay, that's a little bit different. But if someone comes up and says, oh, hey, can you come to my baby shower? And you're not into babies and you don't have time, no. You can say, no, I'm sorry. You don't have to be a jerk. But you don't have to explain why. Say no to things. I'm starting to say no to more because every time I say yes to one thing, I'm saying no to something else. I said to somebody the other day, look, you either need to, or get off the pot because I can't leave this time open for you. I need to make sure that I can say yes to something else. Who here hates to fail? I know I hate to fail. I do it on a daily basis. I fail all the time. And every time I fail, I've learned something from that experience. And I always say, it's not a failure if you just get back up and try it again, right? It's only a failure when you stop trying. So stop trying. Is that like a double negative or something? I don't even know. But yeah, failure's all right. Give yourself permission to fail. It's not saying you should go into things and just fail blindly, but it's all right. We're only human. That you can prove. I cannot stress this enough. Burnout is very real. It used to just be a word I'd throw around for people who are too weak to handle it. Burnout? Come on. You just don't know how to handle it. Rise up, you'll be fine. No, let me tell you, burnout is very real. I started a restaurant with my husband because I'm burnt out in tech. I came back 2 months ago because I thought I wasn't burnt out anymore. I was wrong. I'm very burnt out. This is probably my last talk for a very, very long time. So what do? You're gonna hit it. You're managing all this stuff. You're responsible. You're accountable. This is all these things you have to do, and you will hit burnout. Maybe not to the degree I hit. God, I hope you don't. Do something interesting. I started a restaurant, food truck. It's fun. Find something you like and go do it. Turn your devices off. I spend so much time at the computer, as most of you probably do, that I can't see straight. For every one of you, there's about 5 of you. So it looks like I have a full room. So there's a plus side to not being able to see when it messes up your eyes. Turn off your devices. Enjoy nature. I mean, you're out here now in between breaks, man. Go and just have a good time. Turn it off. It'll be there when you get back. Establish a work-life balance. Gotta do it. My kids and my family, my son's gonna be 20, he's moving here. My other son is 16, he's going to Japan. That's where he wants to go. Those are important things. And if I spend all this time working and none of the time with them, they're gonna be gone. I'm gonna turn around and it's gonna be me and my husband flipping burgers. Not that that's a bad thing, but important, work-life balance. And how do you do it? You implement better strategies like the ones I gave you here, time management, all those things. Very, very important. And this, even more important. And this is why I said to myself, right? Isn't that what I'm supposed to do, self? Do you really want to put a media clip in a talk? Because that's so lame. You never do that. And if it failed, failure is okay. And I did it because of this. Because there's strength in admitting what you can't do. I can't do it all. I have tried, and I have failed. And I'm okay with that. I really am. I wasn't going to come to 360 IDEV this year. I had an opportunity to do some TED stuff. I'm like, well, no, I can't anymore. I'm just done. I'm not doing it anymore. I'm burnt out. I'm tired. I have failed. And I thought about it. It's like, I didn't fail. I just needed a break. I just needed to know when enough was enough. I needed to know when I hit that wall. And I can rebuild that wall, and I intend to rebuild that wall. And I hope you all, if you ever hit that you realize that you can get past it. It might take some time, but to avoid it and to keep your projects on track, I'll put these slides in the Slack so you guys have those things. And again, they're in no particular order. But yeah, do those things, find other things, go out and share them with other people. I've done a lot in my career, and I've had a lot of careers. And I still honestly believe that this community, this iOS and this tech community that we're all a part of, is one of the most nurturing and supportive communities I have ever had the privilege, I can't say it, but I have had it, the privilege of working with. The only reason I'm able to do all of the things that I do is with the help of these strategies and with the help of the support of the people in my team and the people in the community, and that's you guys. So I appreciate your time, and I hope you all have a good day.